Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Tua Tagovailoa walked into the press room on Tuesday looking relaxed, confident, and perhaps a little amused by all the attention surrounding his new look. The Miami Dolphins quarterback had just delivered one of his best performances of the season, a 34-10 dismantling of the Atlanta Falcons. And the talk wasn't just about the 4 touchdown passes he threw or how he seemed to have regained his rhythm after a shaky few weeks. No, this time, everyone wanted to talk about his visor. That sleek, slightly tinted shield covering his face mask had become the unexpected star of the show, not just for its aesthetic appeal, but for the strange, almost superstitious energy surrounding it. After all, it wasn't even part of the plan. Tua had woken up Sunday morning with his left eye swollen shut, barely able to see. The team's medical staff treated the issue just in time for kickoff, and somehow, through a combination of grit, calm, and that shiny new visor, he went out and lit up the field like the Tua everyone in Miami had been waiting to see again. Now, with the Dolphins preparing for a Thursday night showdown against the Baltimore Ravens, the question isn't whether Tua's eye has healed. It has, but whether the visor is here to stay. And if you ask him, the answer's simple. I think the guys like the visor, so I'll stick with the visor, Tua said with a grin, flashing that familiar calm confidence that always seems to show up when the pressure is highest. There was something almost poetic about it. A quarterback who had been under fire for inconsistency, for injuries, for not living up to the endless comparisons to the league's elite, suddenly rediscovering his groove behind a clear piece of plastic that started out as a medical necessity. Maybe it's superstition, maybe it's comfort, or maybe it's just Tua being Tua, cool, composed, and quietly aware that sometimes football is as much about the feeling as it is about the stats. That feeling, for the Dolphins, had been missing just a week earlier. The offense had stalled, the turnovers piled up, and in a crushing loss to the Cleveland Browns in Week 7, Tua threw 3 interceptions before being pulled in favor of rookie quarterback Quinn Ewers. It was a brutal moment for the leader of a team with playoff aspirations. You could see it in his face on the sideline, frustration, disappointment, maybe even doubt. When he spoke to reporters afterward, he didn't hide from the truth. Definitely not happy, not proud of where I'm at with my play, he said, his tone more self-critical than defensive. I know I have to be a lot better, and I've been better for the Miami Dolphins years past. But this isn't years past. This is this year. That quote hung in the air for days. The Dolphins fan base, always divided in its loyalty to Tua, began to wonder whether the team was heading toward another quarterback controversy. Quinn Ewers didn't do much to settle the conversation when he got his chance. The rookie, fresh out of Texas and still adjusting to the speed and complexity of the NFL, went 5 for 8 for 53 yards in relief duty against the Browns. He didn't throw a touchdown or an interception, but he also didn't move the offense. The line collapsed twice, he took a couple of sacks, and by the time the final whistle blew, it was clear that Miami's problems weren't going to be solved simply by swapping quarterbacks. Still, the brief glimpse of Ewers was enough to ignite speculation. The Dolphins had spent a 7th-round pick on him in the 2025 NFL Draft, intrigued by his poise and arm talent after a strong college career where he led Texas to consecutive college football playoff semifinals. He was supposed to be a long-term project, someone who could learn behind Tua and develop slowly. But NFL fan bases rarely have patience, and the cries for change grew louder as Miami's offense sputtered. Fast forward 1 week, and Tua's response couldn't have been more emphatic. Against the Falcons, he was electric. He completed 20 of 26 passes for 205 yards and 4 touchdowns, slicing up the defense with precision and rhythm that reminded everyone of why the Dolphins had believed in him in the first place. Every throw seemed to have purpose, quick outs, perfectly timed slants, and deep shots that found receivers in stride. The offense looked alive again. The Dolphins' sideline buzzed with energy. And maybe, just maybe, the visor added a little swagger to the mix. The look suited him, sleek, confident, modern. Like a quarterback who'd seen the chaos, stared it down through a tinted lens, and come out sharper for it. Of course, the NFL isn't just about the starter. Behind Tua, there's always the subplot, and this week it came in the form of another depth chart shuffle. According to NFL Network's Cameron Wolfe, The Dolphins have once again moved Quinn Ewers down to third string, reinstating Zach Wilson as the team's QB2. It's a move that feels both logical and telling. Wilson, who had lost the backup job briefly after some shaky practices earlier in the season, now returns to the role after Ewers' brief experiment didn't quite pan out. It's a reminder that in the NFL, jobs are fluid and performance dictates opportunity. For Ewers, this is another learning moment, another lesson in patience. For Wilson, it's a chance to stay ready behind Tua, just in case. But make no mistake, this team runs through Tagovailoa. When he's on, the Dolphins hum like a top-tier contender. When he's off, everything feels disjointed. That's the nature of the quarterback position, especially for someone who's been both celebrated and scrutinized since the day he entered the league. Tua has always carried that weight. First as the Alabama star who replaced Jalen Hurts in a national championship game and delivered a title, then as the first-round pick tasked with reviving a Miami franchise that has long searched for stability under center. Every throw, every hit, every quote gets dissected. And yet, when you strip away the noise, you see a player who continues to evolve. The visor might be symbolic of that evolution, an acknowledgement that sometimes you adapt not just to survive, but to thrive. It's interesting how football culture latches onto small details like that. A visor, a wristband, a headband. These things can take on lives of their own. They become talismans of identity. Remember how LaDainian Tomlinson's dark visor became part of his legend? Or how players talk about switching cleats after bad games, as if the shoes carried the weight of their mistakes. For Tua, this visor might be one of those moments. A fresh start disguised as an equipment change. And the timing couldn't be better. The Dolphins are entering a crucial stretch of their season, facing off against the Ravens, one of the AFC's toughest teams, in prime time. Baltimore's defense is relentless, fast, and physical, the kind of challenge that tests a quarterback's poise and decision-making. Tua will need to see the field clearly, visor or not, and if Sunday was any indication, he's ready for it. There's also something deeper going on here, something that goes beyond wins, losses, and eye protection. It's about confidence. For weeks, you could sense that Tua was pressing, trying too hard to live up to expectations rather than simply playing his game. The Dolphins' offense looked hesitant, almost uncertain of itself. But against Atlanta, everything clicked. The quick, rhythm throws, the balance between aggression and control, the way he trusted his receivers again, all of it screamed of a player who had stopped overthinking. Maybe it was the relief of having his vision back. Maybe it was knowing that he'd been given another chance after the Cleveland game. Or maybe, just maybe, the visor gave him a sense of clarity, both literal and metaphorical. Meanwhile, the Dolphins' coaching staff seems intent on keeping things stable. Mike McDANIEL knows that his team's success depends on consistency at quarterback. He's seen what happens when the narrative around Tua spirals into chaos. Every time the media starts speculating about replacements, the locker room energy shifts. McDaniel's decision to reaffirm Tua as the clear starter, to downplay the depth chart drama, and to keep the offense flowing through its leader, is as much about psychology as it is about football. Stability breeds confidence. Confidence breeds performance. And performance silences everything else. As for Quinn Ewers, his story is just beginning. The rookie has raw talent, strong arm, natural touch, and the poise of a player who's been in big moments before. But the NFL is a different beast. Sitting behind Tua and Wilson might be frustrating, but it's also an opportunity to learn the rhythms of the pro game without being thrown into chaos. He's young, and if the Dolphins are smart, they'll nurture that potential slowly. For now, he'll continue to work in the background, taking mental reps, watching film, and waiting for his chance. Because in football, those chances always come eventually. For Tua, though, the moment is now. He's rediscovered his rhythm, his team is winning, and the vibe around Miami feels optimistic again. The eye that once threatened to sideline him is healing, and the visor that started as a precaution might just become part of his identity. It's funny how the smallest twists of fate, an unexpected injury, a new piece of gear, can rewrite a narrative. But that's football. It's a game built on resilience, adaptation, and confidence. And if you're watching the Miami Dolphins right now, you can feel that energy again. The quarterback's eye is clear, his vision is sharper than ever, and the visor? It's staying on, for style, for superstition, and maybe for a bit of magic, too. Because in a sport where every detail matters, sometimes the tiniest change can spark something bigger. Tua Tagovailoa's visor might not have thrown those 4 touchdown passes, but it might have helped him see things differently. Not just the field, but himself. And for Miami, that might make all the difference as they chase something they haven't had in years: belief. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? The NFL world is buzzing tonight with whispers that are shaking the very foundations of South Florida's football scene. Sources inside the Miami Dolphins organization are reportedly pointing to an explosive confrontation between head coach Mike McDANIEL and one of his key players, a clash so intense that insiders claim the player will no longer be donning the Dolphins jersey. It's the kind of drama that fans dream about in the offseason, the kind of tension that fuels endless debates in online forums, and the type of story that could redefine the team's locker room dynamics for the rest of the season. Details are still murky, but the speculation is already running wild, as the rumor mill churns with every passing hour. The big question on everyone's mind: what could have triggered such a dramatic fallout between a coach known for his calm, methodical approach and a player considered vital to the Dolphins' aspirations? According to what's trickling out from trusted sources within the organization, the confrontation wasn't a typical locker room disagreement. It reportedly escalated beyond a simple argument about plays or effort, moving into a territory where frustration, personal pride, and professional expectations collided. Some insiders suggest that this might have involved a disagreement over the player's commitment to McDaniel's offensive system, or perhaps an incident during practice that crossed a line in the coach's eyes. Others are hinting at tensions that had been simmering for weeks, if not months, finally erupting into a public spectacle behind closed doors. The imagery alone is enough to capture headlines. McDaniel, the young, innovative coach who led the Dolphins to a resurgence, apparently reaching a breaking point with a player who, until now, had been untouchable in the team's hierarchy. Fans on social media have been reacting with a mix of shock, disbelief, and sheer excitement, dissecting every possible angle of this rumored fallout. Speculation is rampant. Some are pointing fingers at perceived arrogance, others at a lack of discipline, while a faction insists this is purely about competitive drive and the high standards McDaniel holds his roster to. Theories abound about who the player might be, with the usual suspects in Miami's star lineup being tossed around in hot takes and fan videos. Yet, nothing has been officially confirmed, which only adds to the frenzy. The intrigue is palpable because this isn't just about a single disagreement. It's about the culture McDaniel is building, a culture reportedly intolerant of any deviation from his vision, no matter the talent on the field. Analysts are already debating the potential fallout of this rumored departure. Losing a key player in the middle of the season, especially under such dramatic circumstances, could ripple across the Dolphins' strategy in ways fans are only beginning to grasp. The offensive schemes, the depth chart, and the locker room morale could all feel the impact. If this player truly will not wear the Dolphins' colors again, McDaniel's leadership style will be under even more scrutiny, and questions about the team's ability to maintain focus and cohesion in high-stakes games will inevitably follow. Pundits are comparing this to other famous locker room clashes in NFL history, moments where a coach's decision to part ways with a top talent either made or broke the team's trajectory. Miami fans are nervously waiting to see which narrative will hold true, the one of a principled coach demanding excellence, or a fractured locker room losing its edge. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, sources hint at a flurry of meetings, phone calls, and urgent consultations. The Dolphins' front office is reportedly involved, trying to assess the situation, weigh options, and prepare for what could be a media storm unlike any they've faced in recent years. There are whispers of potential trades, roster adjustments, and even strategic shifts aimed at compensating for the sudden vacuum this player's absence might create. One thing is certain: whether this confrontation leads to an immediate separation or a drawn-out saga, the Dolphins' offseason plans, preseason hype, and even the morale of the remaining players are all now under intense scrutiny. The rumor has taken on a life of its own, growing with each retelling, and fueling speculation from coast to coast. Social media reactions are, unsurprisingly, explosive. Clips of McDaniel's past press conferences, commentary on the player's history with the team, and comparisons to other NFL coach-player conflicts are circulating faster than ever. Fans are forming factions, some defending the coach's authority, some sympathizing with the player, and others simply reveling in the chaos. Memes, TikTok reactions, and YouTube commentary are multiplying, creating a virtual echo chamber where the rumor grows, mutates, and gains dramatic embellishments with every iteration. It's a perfect storm of modern sports culture, where the line between fact and speculation blurs, and where every gesture, statement, or omission becomes material for intense scrutiny. While official statements remain carefully measured, Dolphins representatives offering only vague reassurances that the team remains focused on the season. The undercurrent of tension is impossible to ignore. Industry insiders suggest that a decision of this magnitude rarely comes without careful deliberation, indicating that whatever transpired was significant enough to warrant immediate, decisive action. The media frenzy isn't just about the drama. It's about the broader implications for team identity, coaching philosophy, and the balance between talent and discipline. McDANIEL's approach has long been lauded for innovation and strategic brilliance, but now it's under a microscope, with fans and analysts alike questioning whether his intensity can coexist with the personalities in the locker room. Rumors are also swirling about the potential destinations for the player if the separation becomes official. Other teams are reportedly monitoring the situation closely, weighing the opportunity to acquire talent that, until now, had been integral to the Dolphins' success. Trade possibilities, free agency scenarios, and even the contractual implications are all being speculated upon, though nothing concrete has emerged. This uncertainty only adds fuel to the narrative. A player whose future is suddenly uncertain, a coach whose authority is both lauded and questioned, and a team caught in the eye of a storm that could define the coming months. The drama is rich, the stakes are high, and every tweet or leak seems to add another layer to an already explosive story. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is clear: Miami Dolphins fans are in for a roller coaster of intrigue. Locker room dynamics, player-coach relationships, and even the identity of the team itself hang in the balance. Whether this is a temporary flare-up or a permanent rupture, the implications could reverberate across the league. Every play, every practice, and every press conference from this point forward will be viewed through the lens of this confrontation, and the rumor, once whispered, is now impossible to ignore. Mike McDaniel, a coach celebrated for his strategic mind and composure, is suddenly at the center of speculation about a dramatic fallout, and the Dolphins' path forward may be forever altered by this one incendiary moment. The NFL, as always, thrives on these stories, and Miami is the current epicenter of one that could dominate headlines for weeks, if not months. Fans, analysts, and insiders alike will be watching closely, waiting to see how this saga concludes, and whether the rumor that he will no longer wear the Dolphins jersey is confirmed, or if an unexpected twist is yet to come. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.